Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping by again, and if this is your first time on this channel, you're definitely welcome. Do well to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my content. And in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this stylish and trendy maxi jumpsuit with no half cut or joining on the waistline. If this sounds like something you would like to learn, please watch to the end so that you don't miss any part of it. All right, and without further ado, let's get started. All right, so this is the African print material that we're going to use for this project. Okay, and I used 4 yards in making this jumpsuit. All right, and to get started, we are going to be drafting on the pattern paper. You can as well draft on your material directly, but because I'm going to be using a slash and spread method for the lower part of the jumpsuit, all right, that is why I'm going to be using a pattern paper. All right, here guys, I've gone ahead to spread the pattern paper on the table, and I joined 2 pattern paper together so that it can cover the whole length of the jumpsuit. And so right here, this is the start line that I indicated on the pattern paper, and the next thing I'll do is just to come here and I'm going to indicate 5 inches all the way down, and then I'll connect the point together on a straight line. And right now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and start marking the vertical lines. And the first point that will indicate is the chest line. And to get your chest line, just go ahead and divide your bust by 6 and add 1.5 to whatever value you have. All right, so I'll just go ahead and indicate mine here. This is the chest line, and next line I'm going to indicate is the bust point. And also I'm going to go ahead and indicate the waist line, which is the half length. All right, then next I'm going to go ahead and also indicate my hip line. Okay, and having done that, the next line to indicate is the full length. And having done that, I'll just go ahead and also add about 2 inches for folding allowance. And having done that, I'll just come up here and label here shoulder, chest line, bust point. Here is the waistline, here is the hip line, and right here we have the full length. I will be adding the crotch line later as we progress. And right now, the next thing to do is to come to the shoulder line here, and I'm going to indicate my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 7.5 in this case, and I'll just go ahead and indicate that here. From that point, I'll just come down by 1 inch, and I'll just indicate with a point like so. And up next, I'm going to come to the chest line and mark the same measurement we have on the shoulder line, which is 7.5. All right, then I'm just going to go ahead and connect the point together like so. And the next thing to do is to draft the neckline. All right, and for the neck width, I'll just use 3.5, and having done that, I will link it up to this point here in order to create our shoulder slant. All right, and having done that, I'll just go ahead and indicate the neck depth. And since we have a v-neck on this jumpsuit, I'm just going to be using the depth of 8 inches. You can use more than this, all right, if you want. And I'm just going to go ahead and link it together like so. All right, and this neckline is what I'm going to be using for both the front and the back. You can use separate ones for yours if you want. All right, up next, I'm just going to come to this line here, and I'm going to divide whatever I have there by 2. Okay, and I'm going to indicate right here. And up next, I'm going to come to the chest line and divide my bust circumference by 4, and whatever value you have, you are going to indicate that. Mine is 10, and I'm just going to indicate right here. Okay, and I'm going to add 1 inch for ease allowance also. Okay, then I'm going to come to the midpoint here and come inward by 1/2 inch, and up next, I'm just going to use my curve ruler to create the armhole curve right there. And right now, the next thing to do is to start indicating the body circumference right from the bust to the waist. All right, and right here we already have the bust circumference right here. Okay, and the next thing to do is to come to the waist here and indicate the waist divided by 4. Okay, and I'm just going to indicate right here, and I'm going to add 1 inch for seam allowance, just like we did for the bust earlier on. Okay, and next I'm just going to connect the point together like so. And right now I'll come to the bust point here, and we are going to be creating a bust dart right here. Okay, so here on the bust point I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And right here on this side, I'm going to indicate my nipple to nipple of 4 inches. All right. And we are going to link the 2 points together. And having done that, we can now go ahead and work on the lower part. And right now, the next thing to do is to find the crotch depth. Okay, so I'm going to place the tape rule on the waistline right here. Okay, and I'm going to come down to my crotch depth. Normally my crotch depth is around 10.5. all right, to get your crotch depth, just go ahead and divide your hip by 4. all right, and because we are making a maxi jumpsuit, meaning that we are going to be adding extra allowance to our crotch depth. all right, so I'm going to be adding 4 inches to my crotch depth. Okay, so 10.5 plus 4 inches is going to give us 14.5. okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and stick to 14 inches instead. So I'm going to indicate 14 inches right here. And so right here we have our crotch line. And having done that, the next thing to do is to come to the hip line here, and we're going to impute hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to go ahead and indicate that right here. And having done that, I'm just going to connect it to the waistline. And having done that, we are going to measure what we have here on the hip line, and we are going to duplicate it all the way down. And right now, the next thing to do is to come to the crotch line here, and we're going to be extending the line outward like so. all right, and we're going to be putting our crotch extension right there. Okay, so to get your crotch extension, just go ahead and divide your hip by 20, and whatever you get, you are going to put it as your crotch extension, and I will just indicate mine right here. And having done that, just go ahead and create your crotch curve. And up next, right from the crotch extension that we just marked, we are just going to take it all the way down on a straight line, like so. And having done that, we are going to come back to the crotch area. So right here, the crotch extension we made earlier on is for the front piece, so we are going to be drafting the crotch extension for the back also. all right, and for the back extension, I will just add 2 inches extra. You can also use 2.5 inches for more ease. all right, and right from this 2 inches that I marked, I'm going to come downward by 1/2 inch. And from there, we are going to create the crotch curve for the back. Here, I will just use a chalk to create the crotch curve. Then I'm going to highlight it with my marker. And having done that, right now, we're going to take it all the way from the back crotch extension. We're going to take it on a straight line downward, like so. And right now, as you can see, our jumpsuit is taking shape already. And right now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and add zip to this pattern. So right here, I'll just come outward by 1 inch, and to determine the length of the zip, right, I will just measure all the way and stop the zip right here. all right, and this is just about 3 inches upward from the hip line. all right, you can use whichever length you want. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and link the point together so that I have an allowance of 1 inch for my zip. And having done that, the next thing to do is to mark this nipple to nipple measurement all the way to the full length of the pattern. And having done that, we're going to go ahead and connect the point together on a straight line like so. And having done that, right now we can just go ahead and cut out our pattern. Before I cut out the armhole, I'm going to go ahead and create the back armhole, then I'll proceed to cutting the pattern. And right now, this is what our pattern is looking like right now. And right now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and slash open this line right here. I'll slash it right from the bottom here, and I'll stop the slash directly on the bust point. And having done that, the next thing to do is to close this bust dart. And you will notice that as soon as you close the dart, you are going to have a spread down here. Okay, if you use more than 1 inch for your bust dart, you are going to have a more wider spread. Okay, the more the dart, the wider the spread. So right here, I'll just go ahead and use a pin to hold in the dart. And after doing that, the next thing to do is just to go ahead and use this pattern to cut on our fabrics. And right here, guys, I've gone ahead to pin the pattern on the material, as you can see right here. And the ankara material right here is on fold. So if you use more than 1 inch for your dart, an ankara material might not be enough for this spread, okay, unless you are using crepe, okay. So right now, before I start cutting out the pattern, I'll come to the crotch area here, and I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch for joining allowance on the crotch part here. And right here on the shoulder line, I'm also going to add about 1/4 inch for joining allowance. You can just go ahead and add 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to do the same for the armhole area. I'm going to leave 1/4 inch on the armhole area while cutting it. And so now I'll just go ahead and cut out the pattern. And so right here we have our back piece. So I'll remove the pattern, and I'm going to come to the waistline here, and on this waistline I'm going to come down by 2 inches, and I'm going to notch that point. And right on that point that we notch, that is where we are going to be placing our pocket later on. So I'll fold this aside, and we're going to go ahead and also cut the front piece. And to do this, we are going to go ahead and modify our pattern paper. First of all, there's no zip at the front, so we are going to go ahead and cut out this zipper allowance. And up next, we are going to remove the back crotch. And also, we are going to cut out this allowance that we have right here. And lastly, the next thing to do is to cut out the back armhole. And right now the pattern is ready. We can use this pattern now to cut our fabrics. So here I'll just go ahead and fold the ankara material into 2, and we are going to place the pattern on it just like we did for the back. And having done that, before we proceed to cutting, we are going to come to the center front here, and we are going to be adding 1/2 inch for joining the 2 pieces together. All right, so I'll just go ahead and add 1/2 inch all the way to the crotch area right here. And having done that, I'll just go ahead and cut out the pattern. And right here, our front piece is ready. Okay, so I'll come to this part here, which is still folded, and I'll just cut it open and I will trim off the excess that is there. And right now I'll just place it aside, and I'm just going to get some pieces, then cut the pocket out like so. And having done that, the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut our belt. Okay, and this long stripe here is around 29 inches. Okay, and I'm going to just go ahead and measure around 3 inches for the width. Remember that this stripe is on fold. Okay, so I'm just going to measure 3 inches all the way. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and cut out the excess. Then we are going to be cutting 2 of this. Okay, and right now, to start joining the pieces, here I have my front piece, and the first thing we are going to do is to use the half an inch that we left for sewing allowance. We're going to use that half an inch to join the center all the way to the crotch area. Okay, and right here, this is the back piece. Okay, and the next thing we are going to do is just to go ahead and also stitch the crotch area of the back piece, leaving open the zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm just going to take half an inch right from here, and I'm going to take it all the way down the crotch area. And right here, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to stitch close the crotch area of the back. Okay, and on the front piece, I've also gone ahead to stitch the half-inch allowance that we left right on the center front, all right, all the way to the crotch area, as you can see right here. Right now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and open the joint part here on the front piece and give it a good press. Okay, and after doing that, the next thing to do is to work on the neckline. You can go ahead and use a bias to tape it, or you cut a facing out for it, and I went ahead and cut facing for the neckline. You can also use a bias like I said. Okay, so here I have the facing for the neckline of the front, and the next thing I'm going to do is just to go ahead and stitch the facing to the neckline, and I'm going to give it a good press. And also for the back piece, I've also gone ahead to cut out facing for the neckline, and I'm going to align the facing to the neckline, then also stitch it. And that's exactly what I've done, guys. And this is the back piece. I went ahead to stitch the facing to the back piece and also gave it a good press, as you can see. And here, this is the zipper allowance, and I also went ahead to give it a good press. And here on the front piece, I also went ahead to repeat the same process. I've gone ahead to stitch the facing to the neckline and also give it a good press. And this is what it looks like on the wrong side. And right now, the next thing to do is to go ahead and attach our pocket. Okay, right on that point where we notched, which is 2 inches downward from the waistline, we are going to align our pocket like so, and we are going to stitch it. Okay, and we are going to repeat the same process to the other side. Okay, so go ahead and align the pocket starting from where we have the notch, and we are going to stitch it and also top stitch on it. All right. And right here, guys, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to attach the pocket to both the front and the back piece. And up next, you're going to get your belt ready. Okay, because the next thing to do is to go ahead and attach the belt to the waist area. Okay, so I'm just going to place the belt on the waist here, and I'm going to pin it. And I'm also going to repeat the same process to the other side using the second belt. And I'll bring both of the belt to the center like this. Okay, and the next thing to do is just to bring the front piece, and we are going to align both the front piece and the back piece right side facing right side. Take your time and align both the front piece and the back piece correctly. And having done that, the next thing to do is to come to the shoulder line here, and we are going to be joining the shoulders together. All right. And having done that, I'll also come to the side here, and I'm going to take in the 1 inch seam allowance that we left there. All right, I'm going to take it, and when I get to the pocket area here, I'm going to lift the footer, right, and I'm going to stitch through the pocket area like so. All right, and from the pocket area you're going to come outward again and stitch with 1 inch all the way down. You're going to repeat the same process to the other side. And right here guys, that's exactly what I've done. I've gone ahead to join the shoulders, then I've gone ahead to stitch the side, as you can see right here. I also went ahead to install the zipper right here. And right now the next thing to do is to come to the inseam here, and we are going to align both the front crotch and that of the back crotch together. Then we are going to stitch from one end to the other. So right here guys, I've gone ahead to join the inseam, and this is the right side of our jumpsuit right now. And right here also we have both of our belts, and we are going to be tying these belts on the back side like so. Okay, and also on the jumpsuit we have our pocket opening. So right about now the next thing to do is to go ahead and fold the hem of the jumpsuit. And after doing that, I'm going to come to the armhole area here, and I'm also going to pipe it with a bias. And right here guys, that's exactly what I've done. I went ahead to fold the hemline of the jumpsuit, as you can see here, and on the armhole area I've also gone ahead to finish it by piping it. All right, I used the same material to pipe the armhole, as you can see right here. And right about now our jumpsuit is ready. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in my next video.